Now, we are going to listen to Honorable Chief Guest, a world-renowned, universally accepted expert on artificial intelligence and machine learning, Professor Nischal Verma from Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur. He is not only a great academician and researcher, he is a great human being as well, a person with a very noble heart, which I myself have witnessed many a times. I proudly invite Professor Nishal Verma sir and I request all of you to virtually clap for him.
Thank you very much. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. So, Professor P.C. Trivedi ji, Vice Chancellor, Narain Vyas University, Jodhpur. Dr. C.V. Sharma ji, Dr. S. Anand ji, Professor Saini ji, Professor Jasraj Bohra ji, Professor Raman Kumar Dave ji, Professor Krishna Goyal ji, Dr. Chitesh Maharshi ji, and my dear colleagues and friends. It is indeed an honor for me to be part of this 2 days international webinar on e-business and cybersecurity organized by Dr. CVS Cyber Security Services, LLP, Jaipur, in association with Faculty of Commerce and Management Studies, Narain Vyas University, and Indian Accounting Association, Jodhpur branch. First of all, I must congratulate the organizing committee for taking this initiative to conduct a very wonderful webinar and having such an interesting theme and eminent speakers like C.V. Sharma ji, Professor Saini ji, Anand ji. Cyber security is a very important topic and it has very severe consequences when not properly dealt or addressed, as we have just heard the expressions by Dr. C.V. Sharma ji. It focuses on keeping network security and information safety, from hackers. Cyber threats can have ramifications for individuals, businesses, and in some cases, entire nations. So, upcoming trends for cybersecurity include increased automation, mobile services becoming a threat to businesses, especially the IoT, Internet of Things devices, becoming targets for hackers, business training employees to deal with social engineering, which is really a challenge nowadays, and cyber threats resulting in tougher regulations, as was just discussed in the beginning of this session, and possible legislations. So I would like to speak on with couple of slides, if permitted, artificial intelligence little bit and its relevance with the cyber security, including the deep learning. So if permitted, because I know we are running sort of time, so if permitted by the moderator, I would like to go ahead.
Chief guest, and we want to listen to you, sir. You can take as much time as you like.
Thank you very much. So let us, let me first share the slide.
Video.
Mixed fruits.
Audio muted. All audience, please keep your audio muted.
So is the slide visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, it's visible, sir. Artificial intelligence and deep learning.
Excellent. So let us now uh, get some flavor of artificial intelligence and deep learning, and then how it is related or how it can help in dealing with cybersecurity problems. We can just understand in simple terms. Although the time is very short, but I'll try my best to relate these two. So artificial intelligence, as we all know that it is nowadays, everyone is talking about not only the artificial intelligence, but deep learning, cyber security and all right. So let us first understand the intelligence. What is it basically? So intelligence is nothing but the capacity to learn for problem solving, especially the decision making, right? So it is a measure, we can say, it's a measure of capability or capacity to learn. All right. So we can now say that faster is the learning, or faster learning, better is the intelligence. All right. So we all know this, right? Natural intelligence now, this helps us right from the childhood and to learn and then make decisions accordingly. And it varies from person to person in in human beings as well as in animals, right? So you see, but the grade of intelligence, the grades are different. So it's the capacity again, and then based on that, the it helps us in making the decision. So we have talked about the natural intelligence in living beings. All right. So now the question is the way we behave, the way we make decisions based on our acquired, you know, parameters, learning. I would say, acquired learning capabilities or the acquired experience. Based on that, we make decisions, right? So that is God gifted, and these are all possible because of the biological neurons in our brain, and especially I would say the biological neural network, right? That contains billions of neurons in human beings, and all the functions are being carried out, and based on that we make decisions, right? So the question is, how can we make the machines, the robots, the non-living beings intelligent, so that the way we make decisions, they can also make decisions. So that is what is the question. So this is an attempt that I'm going to make you understand as to how we can embed intelligence in non-living beings like robots, machines. So this is also called machine intelligence or artificial intelligence, right? And when we say artificial intelligence, it means that mimicking the human intelligence, right, for non-living beings. So we can say that the artificially created capacity to make non-living beings, machines, learn to mimic the human intelligence, like humans, make decisions. So when we have that kind of capability, that kind of capacity in the machines to learn, and based on these learning, they can make decisions. They can acquire certain, knowledge through parameter estimations, through adapting, in the situations, and make decisions, right? Acceptable decisions, right? So all these are possible, and there's a popular term nowadays, you might have come across, is machine learning. So that is what it's all about, right? So machine learning is actually helping us in embedding the intelligence into the non-living being systems. All right, so let us now understand quickly what are the major advantages, right? So there are, of course, so many other advantages, but you see, the major advantages are here. that if we talk of machines, right? So machines basically, they do not require sleep or breaks and are able to function without stopping with same efficiency. Right? So this means what, right? Like human beings, right? They need sleep, they need breaks, and if they are not given these, they cannot perform with the same efficiency, right? But machines, if um, they these machines are properly learned, right? They can work with the same efficiency. Similarly, machines can continuously perform the same task without getting bored or tired, right? So as far as the quality of the product, let's say if they are they are deployed in any industry, they can perform the task with same quality, right? So machines are needed to carry out dangerous tasks, right? Wherever there's um, uh, a place where humans' life is at risk, right? Machines can go and work. So machines are needed to carry out dangerous tasks where the human health and safety are at risk. So that is another very important advantage where as to how that artificial intelligence helps us in embedding intelligence into the systems, especially robots and other machineries. All right, so let us now go to the history of AI. Although philosophically, the history of AI is well before, right? But when we talk of the engineering, with engineering perspective, we see that Allen's Turing machine is the landmark, and it was in the year 1937 when universal computing machine was created by Alan Turing. So this was the time since when we see that the AI has come into being, right? But please understand that AI's formal name was not there even that time. Also, a lot of things had happened, afterwards. But it was the year 1955 when John McCarthy, right? He coined the word artificial intelligence, and since then this AI terminology is being used. So formally, AI was artificial intelligence word was coined by Professor John McCarthy in 1955. Right. So how, in what way, artificial intelligence is acquired, right? So there are certain agents of artificial intelligence, and these are called artificial intelligent agents. And these are, you see here, they're mentioned. So simple reflex agents. There are n number of agents, but these have been classified into 5 majorly. So simple reflex agents, and then model-based reflex agents, and goal-based agents, utility-based agents, and learning agents, right? So there are so many artificial intelligent agents are available, and these have been classified majorly into 5 categories. I would just briefly talk about the learning agents, right? So major learning agents you might have come across. You see, everyone when they go through ANN, right, artificial neural network, or even otherwise machine learning, also talk about artificial neural network, fuzzy logic, genetic algorithm, right, evolutionary computing. All these words are coming, right? So when did it start? So it was the year 1942-43 when Warren, McCulloch, and Pitt. So they created a computational model, the mathematical model of a biological neuron, right? And that was that neuron, that mathematical model of the neuron facilitated the learning, right? So and this learning was facilitated because the parameters we were able to learn for that neuron, right? So then afterwards, in 1957, perceptron came into being. This is also kind of this is in fact a neuron, but since it has a different kind of the activation function, so it was named as perceptron, right? And then in 1960s, major inventions, major propositions have happened, and one of them is here genetic algorithm, right? In 60s were developed. Nowadays, very popular strategy for optimization, where whenever we do not even have the physics of any system known, the genetic algorithm helps in managing, estimating the parameters of it. So another one is very important proposition was fuzzy logic theory. Another one is a deep learning. So fuzzy logic was proposed by Professor Lotfi-Ejade in 1965, and at the same time, deep learning was also being proposed. I will discuss about it in this lecture. So in 1970s, afterwards, the evolutionary computing came into picture, and that's how the journey of AI started. And you can see here in the left side, on the left side, you see the biological neuron, a single neuron. Right side, you see the mathematical model of it. And here, and from here, the learning strategy has started for embedding the intelligence into the non-living being systems. So an artificial neuron contains basically the activation functions, and normally the non-linear by nature, and it has several incoming and outgoing weighted connections. So incoming normally resembling the dendrites, the output basically the axons and axon buds. So I'm not going into details of the neural networks, because I know the attendees here are from different backgrounds. So but I'm just briefly introducing these so that if you are interested, can go and further read and understand. And then comes the the neural network, where the neurons are connected together to perform certain processes. Right? So normally, like in our brain, tens of thousands of neurons are connected together to carry out some single process, right? So likewise here also in artificial neural network, right, where the artificial neurons are connected together to perform certain tasks. So you can see here the feed-forward neuron, the neural network, which is one of the category of artificial neural network. So this is normally called as the learning, right? Learning process, normal learning. But here there are certain issues. The issues basically are the when we try to make these models learn, right, for acquiring the artificial intelligence, right? There are issues, challenges, and these challenges basically include the initialization, right? Because normally the parameters to these networks are basically initialized randomly. So random initialization is the very major challenge. And then global optima means it doesn't show global optima. So to recover this, to overcome these challenges, the deep learning comes into picture. So deep learning is very, very interesting and very emerging area. And what is happening here is basically deep learning is little, if we understand the normal learning, as I just explained, that when we have any learning strategy normally happening is, but we normally do not use the normal learning, right? So it's a learning, normally machine learning. So if we have a neural network, right, and conventional ways, it will make them learn. So this strategy is normal learning or machine learning, normal learning. But if we have multiple layers of learning for the same process, right? Let's say we are repetitive, we are repeating these learning strategies as a single strategy, right? So it becomes deeper, right? So it means here that the parameters are these are um, um, uh, these parameters are very deeply learned, right? So, and these are needed when we have a very complex model, we have a very complex process, which when we say complex, it means that either the system has highly non-linear characteristics present, or very high grade of uncertainties present in the system. Then these kind of systems, these kind of deep learning strategies help uh, us better in embedding, mimicking the intelligence in non-living beings. So let us now understand first the uh, history of it. So as I mentioned, right, in 1965, Professor Lotfi Ejade proposed fuzzy logic theory, fuzzy logic uh, concept. Here in 65 itself, uh, Alexei Grigorovich Ivanko and Lapa, in 1965, he proposed the deep learning strategy. But deep learning did not progress much because the deep learning strategy was there was no deep learning efficient strategy was present. The deep learning term has been coined that time, and people tried. Even a backpropagation algorithm, which is very popular, was existing at that time, but it was not very mature, right? So we had some kind of idea that this stepwise learning could be the better idea, but since the lack of because of the lack of the strategy, it could not gain any importance. So deep learning as a subject, it deals with a set of algorithms developed to achieve deeper intuitions, as I mentioned, and it is hierarchical, right? So we first learn, we have the course learning, then fine tuning, and then we keep on managing this till we get the very close match of the uh, desired parameter. All right. So you see here in 2006, Hinton, Bengio, and Lacun. So the teams basically published three research works, three strategies, and that all these three papers were on deep learning strategies, and they applied this very efficiently and shown the its better performance. And here is the time when the learning strategy, the deep learning strategy, successfully was proposed, and so it was working well. And since then, now on, the deep learning is exponentially rising. So this was all about the artificial intelligence and deep learning. I hope these artificial intelligence in simple terms as much as I could, and then deep learning, how the artificial intelligence is different from deep learning. Basically, it is not different from deep learning, but is a strategy of embedding the artificial intelligence for complex processes and systems. So this having known, now let us go to the cyber security and see as to how these can help us in managing cyber security well. So we all know cybersecurity is a very popular term, and cybersecurity is basically the practice of protecting systems, networks, and programs from digital attacks, right? So these digital attacks, we know this by the term cyber attacks. So cyber attacks are usually aimed at accessing, changing, or destroying sensitive information, extorting money from users, or interrupting normal business processes. All right. So these are the threats. Like when we talk of cyber security, so what are the threats? Threats are, nowadays very common. Everyone knows. Everyone is facing these challenges these days, right? Those who are using systems, computers, networks, or even IoT devices, Internet of Things devices, cyber physical devices, right? So cybersecurity threats are, phishing is one of the threats. So phishing is the practice of sending fraudulent emails that resemble emails from reputable sources. The aim is to steal sensitive data, as was talked by Dr. C.V. Sharma ji in detail. And it's nowadays it's very common, right? Sensitive data like credit card information or other bank information, right? Bank related account information, login details, and then you are gone. When everything is done, right? You are out of the network or out of the loop, and the rest of the things will be done by the cyber hackers. So it is the most common type of cyber attack. So filtering malicious emails can prevent such attacks, right? And another one is ransomware. We normally, see these malicious software. So this ransomware is a kind of malicious software, also known as malware. So malware is very popular, very commonly talked malicious software. So it encrypts the victim's data until the hacker is paid a predetermined ransom. Right? So that is very interesting. Typically, the attacker demands payment in form of cryptocurrency, another very interesting term. So, like Bitcoin, right? So only then the attacker will send a decryption key, right, through which you can decrypt and get all your information back. So this is very interesting. And then this malware basically is nothing but it's an intuitive software, and that is designed to damage and destroy computers and computer systems as well. So malware is a contraction for malicious software. So examples of common malware include viruses, worms, Trojan viruses, spyware, adware, fileless malware, and ransomwares. All right. Another very interesting term is social engineering. Nowadays, being practiced, and social engineering we can say is a tactic that adversaries use a trick you into revealing sensitive information. Right? So they can solicit a monetary payment or gain access to your confidential data. So the social engineering can be combined with any of the threats already mentioned to make us more likely to click on certain links, right, or download certain softwares, right, maybe from the malicious source, right. So all of these basically are very challenging, issues, and implementing the effective cybersecurity measures to tackle with is highly challenging nowadays, as there are, this very important point that we need to understand, right, that these attackers are getting more and more acute. They are also working as hard as, even more harder than, we are trying to find the ways to get shield of it. So we can say that implementing effective cybersecurity measures is highly challenging. And it is because, right, there are more devices than people, and attackers are becoming more and more innovative. So that means they are getting more equipped, right? And so what happens when we use AI in cybersecurity? Right? So what AI can do for us in cybersecurity? So let us first understand that as I just mentioned that we have nowadays more number of devices than human beings, and even further it is spreading, right? So AI helps us in AI can create certain models of it, right? Artificial models, right? And which will have faster detection of some anomaly, right, in the network or in the systems. So faster detection, the network security, can quickly detect through machine learning. Like if it differs from the normal pulse of it, it can quickly detect. Then phishing detection, right? So secure authentication, right? Behavioral analytics is another one which AI is helping a lot, and preventing online frauds. So AI basically will help us in managing, right, in recognizing those threats before they can come into our network system processes, right? So when we talk of AI, as we have seen that AI and deep learning. So as I mentioned that these attackers are getting more equipped, and they are using better and better, um, armaments, right? In terms of the better softwares, better tools. So this means that it is not normal and high. They are making things very complex, and to deal with those complex and highly uncertain, embedded programs, right? The deep learning is very, very effective tool nowadays, and that's how we say that deep learning in AI has become extremely effective tool for cybersecurity. So this way, we have seen that as to how AI, deep learning, and cybersecurity is very, very helpful, and these together can do wonders, and they can prevent from these cyber-related negative issues. And I'm not going to take further more time, because time has already is very we have already taken more time than what was assigned. So with this, I would like to conclude. Thank you very much for bearing with me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Nischal Verma, sir. First of all, for showering blessing on us. Secondly, I mean, your subject knowledge, I mean, the kind of knowledge you are having, and the way you share it is just above excellent, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And
Thank
I think, to tell you